Pierce, and today we're going to be talking about his new LP, Dusk. So I was reading that you recorded this in your own studio. Is that correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Do you think that recording alone, like in your own home studio, kind of affected the recording process opposed to like a normal, public recording studio? And like, how did that change the process?
For sure, yeah. I've done the expensive, $150 an hour studios. I've done the home recordings at friends' places, and I think technology has caught up to the point where as long as you have some nice microphones and preamps and gear, you can make a great home recording. And luckily, I have a friend, bandmate, and former producer engineer that I've worked with in the past, my buddy Eric Rude, and he came by with a bunch of gear that I could never afford. He lent that, and we kind of put the studio together. And then the benefit was really that I wasn't rushed. And in the past, I've even working with my bandmates and my producers, you could be doing a take for an hour or a part for an hour and feel like it's time to move on because you're wasting everybody's time.
Yeah.
And on this record, I was almost OCD in the sense that, like for instance, one of the songs on the record, I spent a week on the vocal part only, and that was kind of crazy. But I just wanted to get it perfect, and I didn't have to worry about anybody's time. It was just my time working on that part. So I got it to where I wanted it. And you can't do that when you're on the clock at a studio that's a lot of money. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, that kind of answers my next question, which was, do you prefer like recording in your own space? Which, yeah, obviously makes sense. Not as rushed.
Yeah. That part, there's still these magic rooms out there, and I'm a big fan of music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, where these rooms were just incredible, and like Abbey Road or
Right.
Sun Studios, or these places where there is just a magic, and they really spend a lot of time and effort creating the room, and especially for drums. And I'm not going to be able to mimic that in my back studio here at my place. So I think if I had no budget, I would certainly go for the big studio. But we're a little indie label with a small budget with Crossbill Records. So I think financially and like I said with the previous question, just a matter of getting to spend as much time as I want. And I spent about 4 months straight recording. So that was. It was very nice here in my studio for sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, by the way, I read the description of the LP, and based off of the song that I heard, it seems like the whole piece, just kind of as a whole, is like a personal journey almost. Mm-hmm. Was there parts when you were writing and recording that were harder to, I guess, write and record than other parts based on like your personal journey through, writing it?
I think different artists use music different ways. For me, it's always been a confessional kind of art form. Mm-hmm. I've always found it therapeutic, and digging into my past and bringing out old stories or recent stories, and trying to fit them into a song has always been the way I do it. And so it's always a little tough, but I love it because I come out on the other side feeling more healed. And every time I perform those songs in front of an audience and connect to people with these kind of personal stories, some of them dark, I feel it's a kind of a little sense of healing every time I get to perform those. And so I guess it's sometimes it's tough to bring it out, but once it's there, it's very cathartic. So
right.
Yeah, I think I think pretty much out of the 10 songs, maybe 7 of them are very personal stories from my life, and then a few of them are kind of fictional. But still from a place that's, you know, part of me, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Would you mind describing the story behind Distant Thought?
Sure.
Okay, awesome.
So, I guess it's funny. This is the first interview I'm doing for the record, so I don't have like my stock answers yet, which is good. So you're getting me in a very raw moment.
Awesome.
So yeah, Distant Thought. I don't know how like confessional I want to get here, but I've definitely dealt with, like a lot of people, with issues of depression and anxiety and things like that. And there's a spot I live in the town of Sonoma in Northern California, and there's a spot about an hour away from me that I go to a lot. That's the Redwood Forest. And every time I go to this spot, I kind of, speaking of healing, I kind of feel better after a long work week or whatever stress and anxiety I'm going through in my life. And a lot of my songs, like I said, are cathartic and dark and kind of exercising the demons. But for this one, I almost wanted to sing a song about how awesome this spot was and how it heals me. So it's one of the few optimistic songs you can find in my repertoire. Ask my friends. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of dark themes in a lot of my music, despite it being kind of folky or pop, as people say. But that song was about this place in the redwoods where I go, and I kind of come back feeling like all of those troubles in my mind are a distant thought. And that's, you know, not to sound cheesy, but that's really what the theme of the song was, you know, getting to the point where you're just mellow and stress-free, and that's what that place does for me. So it's kind of like a dedication to that spot.
Yeah, awesome. That's a good story. I like it. Okay, so for my last question, I have that I saw that you mentioned that you kind of compared a lot to older musicians. All right, not older, but like musicians from the past or artists from the past, like Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon. Are there any current like authors or artists that you've been inspired by lately?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last like 5 or 10 years, and I'm going to speak from the genre I kind of fit in more than anything. I like Bonnie Prince Billy, Will Oldham stuff, Mark Kozelek from Sun Kill Moon. I have somebody who I really loved, who became a friend of mine, is this woman named Diane Cluck, who lives out in Virginia. And but, you know, to be honest, I'm so lyric centric with my stuff. I felt like a lot of popular music has been going away from that. So outside of Joanna Newsom and maybe Bill Callahan from Smog, I listen to like good rap. Like MF Doom is one of my favorites, because that kind of inspires me in terms of like the stream of consciousness of really good lyricists. I like Open Mike Eagle as another hip hop rapper that I enjoy. So I have a pretty eclectic taste, but for newer inspiration, I mean, in the last couple of years, I've been listening to probably more hip hop for kind of inspiration to just jar my mind lyrically. Of course, you don't hear that at all in my music, but and that's why, you know, I definitely deep down inside, it's those early records from like Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan and stuff like that my dad played on our record player. That's what's kind of rooted in like my foundation of a songwriter. But outside of like Joanna Newsom in the last few years, it hasn't been as much like pure kind of lyrical density that I like. So, but those, I think I named a few for you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I am so glad I got to chat with you.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast real quick.